Hello and welcome to another episode of Marketing Ping Pong. My name is Allie.
And my name is Duncan.
And we are here to play around with some business ideas. This is one of my favorite things we do on the Marketing Ping Pong podcast is we come up with businesses that we would like to own or businesses that we've thought, you know what, I could do that better or cooler, or I have some great ideas for how I would market that business. And so each episode, one of us comes with either a boring business or a fun business. And we take turns with boring and fun businesses. And this week, it is my turn to bring a boring business. But before we do that, Duncan, I feel like it's been forever since we've recorded an episode. And it's so funny because we literally hung out last week. And getting ready for this episode, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to talk to Duncan and do the episode. Because these are so much fun. And I missed you the last couple of weeks we didn't record.
Yeah, I've missed you too. Even though, like you said, even though we just hung out, it's different getting to get together to do these because it taps into something that I think is always going on in our brains in the background. Even when we're hanging out with other people, if they tell us about something they're working on, we're like, ooh, this is how I would market that. And it really feeds that side of our personality and that side of our brain.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree. And I just want to say we keep getting together and not creating any content for any of our social media channels that we share. We don't even take a picture together. What is happening?
We have one picture.
I got in the car to leave and I was like, I didn't take a picture with Allie.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, I can't believe we did it again. We didn't do
next time.
Even a picture. I promise. I promise next time. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, you were talking about always having those thoughts in your head. Like over the weekend, I've literally been building out a nonprofit. And that's not what I brought here today, but I've been building it out piece by piece and how does this piece fit with that piece and how would I do it this way? And I know if I were to just start talking about these things with my family, they'd be like, what are you even talking about? Like, is this something you're going to do? I'm like, no. Well, I'm not saying I'm not going to do it, but I'm not saying this is my plan right now for me to do. I just need to talk about it. So yeah, it's really great jumping on here with you and being able to work through these things and brain dump all these ideas I've had rattling around. All right, so this week it's my turn to pick a boring business. So the business that I picked, I don't know so much. I think for a lot of people it could seem boring. But more than boring, I think a lot of people look with disdain on this kind of business. It doesn't have a great reputation. They can be it can be kind of an in your face kind of business marketing that people tend to not really enjoy. So I thought it would be a good exercise to take something that tends to be a bit over the top and people really hate how over the top they are and approach it in a completely different manner. And really create something that people love and engage with and lean into. So do you have a guess? What would you guess?
Ooh, is it car dealerships?
It is a car dealership. You get high five. Yes, it is a car dealership. I think that a lot of people, myself included, there's a lot of anxiety going to a car dealership. There's a lot of feeling of, they're just trying to get my money. They're trying to screw me over. You get all the big obnoxious flyers in the mail that have the, scrape this off and, oh, wow, you want a flat screen TV, but it's some sort of bait and switch.
Yep.
They're on the radio and they're so obnoxious on the radio with 15 seconds of small print at the end where you never feel like you're ever getting the honest to goodness truth of what is happening.
Yep.
And I thought, how can we do that better? How can we create a car dealership that is not sale this Friday, all the time, and actually be a valued member of the community, which is always important to me too, and sell a crap ton of stuff. Ton of vehicles.
Yeah, I love that. And I you said that it's not exactly a boring business, but I would disagree with you. I think that the type of marketing that they do it's just so overt and it's so overdone that it becomes boring. It's
Yes.
like we've seen it a million times, and it's like they've taken all the things that used to work and have just hammered them and hammered them and hammered them and leaned in. When it stops working, they just like double down and do it more loud, more extravagant, more flashy, more in your face. And it becomes, by nature of it just being overdone, it becomes boring. So I would say this is one of the most boring businesses we've ever done. Like I see one of those car commercials, place commercials, and I just instantly tune out. I'm like, yeah, I've seen it before. Like I'm immediately out. So yeah, I'm excited
Yes.
about this.
And really, there's no way for me to tell the difference between one dealership commercial versus another. They're
Yeah.
all exactly the same. Now, I don't want to just do a car dealership.
Okay.
So I love the idea of niching down. And what I'd really like to do, because as I thought about this and I thought, okay, car dealership would definitely be a bigger challenge if it's just all around cars. But I thought, I don't want to make it hard for me. I want to make it easy for me. And I always tell this to my clients too. I want to make your marketing easier, not harder. And so if there's ways to make it easier, I want to make it easier. So if I owned a car dealership, I would really, and again, like everybody listening, I don't know what the legalities are. I don't know what the agreements are between the car dealership and the manufacturers. So let's just pretend none of that stuff exists, because I don't know the ins and outs of that. I'm sure there's things that are, oh no, you have to offer these sorts of vehicles because you're this kind of dealership. But if I were to become a car dealership, I would so lean into trucks. Like I would just sell trucks, and maybe I would have used cars that have been traded in over here, but my brand would be we sell trucks. And that's what would be up front and center. That's what all of my marketing would center around. Everything that I did would just be trucks, 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 trucks. What do you think about that?
I like it. We talk about affinity a lot, and there's something to be said for people that literally identify as truck people. They're like, my truck is my life. They take their truck to meetups on the weekends. They have clubs, just like car clubs, right? There are truck clubs. Down here in Florida, we have mudding, right? People will literally go out on the weekend to a place that's like a mud hole and drive their truck through the mud and race it and things like that. So there's already a really big affinity for that kind of person to be drawn to a business like this. Somebody who's into trucks, they're going to want to shop at a car dealership that identifies as a truck dealership for truck people. So there's already a built-in affinity for that. You don't really have to build it or figure it out. It's already there. So I love this idea. Yeah.
No, I love it. And I think a couple of things got me thinking down this route. First of all, my sister owns a Line-X franchise. And when I was reading over some of like her market and all of that, I'm like, this is like the most no-brainer thing on the planet. Like, you just go after the truck people. That's their baby. They want to protect the liner. They're going to do the undercoating. They're going to do everything. They want to do the maintenance, right? They want to have reasons to spend more money on their truck and baby it up and get the what is it called, the step up thing, the thing you step on. This is I need to get better about trucks if I'm going to own this dealership.
This is going to be tough because I am not a truck person either. We're going to be like, yeah, the piece of the truck that does the thing, and we're like,
you put your foot.
There's wheels on a truck, right? Like the wheels got to be cool. We got to,
Yes.
we're in for a hard time.
and I must say, I love trucks, but I love trucks from like the 1980s.
Okay.
Like I love when my husband and I met, he had a 1978 grass green Chevy pickup truck.
Okay.
And he also had, I don't know if you know what a Festiva is. Have you ever seen a Festiva? His friends would joke and say it looked like a pregnant roller skate. Like it was just the tiniest. And my husband's kind of a bigger guy, especially at the time. He was all buff and all that. And he'd get out of this tiny little car and he'd kind of unfold out of the car. And I thought it was funny. We weren't dating yet. But we were talking and that sort of thing. And so I mentioned, I'm like, I love trucks. Next day he shows up in the 78 Chevy pickup truck. I'm like, oh, now you got my attention. I like those old trucks. And to me, the more beat up they are, the better. Like
Right?
if the seat is loose and the wires are coming out, and there's got to be like a hole in the floor.
Yeah, it's got some character.
His was in almost too good a condition. It needed to be questionable if it was going to start in the morning. That's the kind of truck that I like. So I know that much about trucks. Like I like trucks, but that's about my limit. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about how, how like with my sister's business that she has this built-in market of people that are already excited about their trucks. And she was telling me about a customer that came in that had the $100,000 custom built truck.
Yep.
I'm like, that's the business I want to be in. I want to be selling $100,000 custom built trucks because this is a car that people love to spend the money on. And I think there's almost like you could go luxury cars, but there's almost a snobbery over there with luxury cars that I don't know. That's not as fun to me. I'd rather be dealing with people that are putting their vehicle in a mud hole, than afraid that anybody's going to touch it, sort of thing. So for me, truck sounds a lot more fun and interesting, and I do like that it's that built-in market of people that are just crazy about their vehicles.
Yeah, I love that. And again, like to speak to the affinity thing, like this might be getting ahead of ourselves, but you've already tapped into this thing that hits so many different people at different levels, right? You have your really hardcore truck enthusiasts, and then there's people like you who like the idea and kind of the thought of a truck, like an older truck. It's your marketing, even though it's very specific, very niche down, you can still hit a very broad audience, which I like,
You get the
right?
person that's got to go to work every day and needs a good truck to get them through things, or that does take their vehicle up to the mountains for camping. And, we get a lot more of that up north, and you guys don't have mountains. There's no mountains down here. But there are other people that go to the mountain. Like my dad had a cabin in the mountains. We needed a good truck to get us there. It's not that he was obsessed with his truck. He just needed a good truck because it allowed him to do the things that he wanted to do in his life, which was visit the cabin and take things up there and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
And so, so I really like the truck angle. Let's talk about number one. What do we call a car dealership that's nothing but trucks? Do we just call it like nothing but trucks?
Can we call it truck nuts?
Truck nuts? That's actually pretty good.
Okay, hear me out. Have you seen?
Disagreeing with you. I don't think I'm disagreeing with you.
Have you seen the literal like metal testicles that you hang from the back of the truck?
Yes.
Okay, so there's already that, right?
Yes.
We should be truck nuts, like for people that are nuts about trucks, and we spell it with a C.
Oh my gosh, the marketing is built right in.
Are you nuts about trucks?
It's brilliant. You are a You are a marketing genius.
Every truck comes with a pair of truck nuts. Like I'm already in. I want a truck now. I'm a truck guy.
You're a truck guy now. I think we can just end the episode. That's all we need to do.
Hashtag truck nuts. Yeah.
Is name a dealership, because everybody does like up north, it's Matthews and Foster's. It's just like it's like so boring.
So boring.
Truck nuts.
I'm in. If this was Shark Tank, I'd be like, yes, take my money.
Because it's built like, I want everybody to understand this. Like the gut feeling you get when you hear that, knowing that is going to catch everybody's attention. Are you going to be on the news? Yes.
100%.
Are people going to talk about you on Facebook? Absolutely. If you love trucks and you're that kind of macho guy that likes trucks, are you not going to go to the place that's called Truck Nuts so you can tell all of your friends that that's where you got your truck from, was Truck Nuts?
It's so good. There's like built-in merch there. There's so many. I love businesses like that. I don't know how family friendly.
That's it. We don't need to talk about anything else. This is a 15-minute episode. You just nailed it.
Well, there's a business here in town. I don't know if you've seen them, and I don't know how family friendly we're trying to keep this channel, but it's a tackle shop. It's a bait and tackle shop, and it's called Master Bait and Tackle. I was like, this is the best. I love businesses like that. It's like, that's so ridiculous. I think it's a winner. So,
Up north, there was a big kerfuffle in my hometown when a nail salon opened up and named it Hand Job. And there was a big debate about whether or not she should be allowed to put her sign up,
oh, that's
and
so
whether or
good.
not like the municipality should be stepping in or not. She was in the paper. She was all over Facebook.
That's so
She
funny.
was everywhere.
Yep.
It's so smart. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you look at the marketing of your business, excuse me, hold on. If you think about how you're going to market your business from the moment you begin your business, you can pick names that are going to help you with your marketing. You can pick niches that are going to help you with your marketing. I think one of the most frustrating things for me is people come to me and say, this is my business name. This is what I do. And now get me customers. And I'm like, boring. So now we have to figure out how to make what you already have that's really boring more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're so caught up in well, this is what everybody else in my industry does, they have a hard time thinking outside of the box and making massive changes, because they're like, no, this is what I do. But when you really look at those entrepreneurs that do something different, they start with the idea of how they're going to market it from the beginning. They're looking for big, strange, weird, unique, innovative ideas, so that from the get-go, everybody's like, whoa, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? That's exactly what I need, or that's hilarious, or whatever it is. They're coming in from that angle. And those are huge businesses. So truck nuts is all it needs to be. It's all it needs to be in order to get that ball rolling.
Oh no.
Okay, so
We got to have a counter up on the screen that's
I
like
know,
testicle puns, just like
exactly.
ding.
I
All right,
think
cool.
that's a great idea.
We'll edit that in.
So we have, all right, so something else I want to talk about while we're talking about car dealerships, and then I want to get into exactly how we would market this particular truck dealership.
All right.
First of all, is we already talked about it, that the marketing is just so freaking boring. It's just in your face. Pow, pow, pow. This Friday only, you get a free toaster just for walking on the lot with $1,000 trade-in value. I don't know. Which again, most of us just don't hear.
Yep.
So down here in Southwest Florida, we had a guy though that definitely taught me some things about marketing. When I moved down here originally, I don't even remember his last name. I'm sure you remember, but his name was Billy. I remember his name is Billy. It was Billy and Carolyn.
Yep.
This guy that has this Kia dealership, and he was doing commercials that I remember when we came down here, I'm like, what is this? What am I watching? And what is even going on? And the funny thing is, that was because since we moved down here before, like 10 years ago, stayed here for 2 years, moved back and came down again. So he's since passed away since we moved back. But 10, 12 years ago at this point, we are still quoting him.
Yep.
In our home. We are still quoting this rando guy that owns a Kia dealership in Cape Coral.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably know a bit more about him than what I do, because you've been down here your whole life. So what do you know about Billy, the Kia dealership guy?
Man, it's a really great point, and I actually, he came to mind when I originally guessed car dealership. I was like, oh great, we're gonna get into some fun stuff here, because he is just like this really great example of how somebody can take something that is overdone, boring, like in your face, and do it in a different way, add something to it that's particularly his, that made it work, right? So it's, if I were to really think about it, my original impression is like, he's doing all the things that we're talking about not doing. It's like, he's in your face, he's loud, he's all of those things, but the thing that makes it different to me is the brand, right? It's the story of him and Caroline and like their dynamic, and just the fact that he is unforgettable. He himself, he has these
Mhm.
little catchphrases that stick in your mind. The interactions between him and Caroline stick in your mind, and they
Mhm.
become characters almost that are elevated beyond regular people. Does that make sense? You know,
Yes.
it's like a built-in story that you're invested in and you want to follow along with. But a little bit about him, you know, he would have these commercials where he would come on and he would basically yell for 30 seconds. He would yell about, you know, it being huge. They're having a sale this weekend and it's huge,
Huge.
Caroline. It's huge. And he would
Huge.
yell, and she would be kind of exasperated that he's yelling, like, oh, yeah, there's Billy again. And it worked. Like their dynamic worked. The story of them kind of push and pull worked really well. And that was something that you could latch onto. If there was just a narrator saying, yeah, come on down this weekend to our huge sale, blah, 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 background noise. The thing that made it different was the brand, which we talk about brand sometimes like it's almost an intangible thing that you can't really you can't really figure out like an equation to make it work. And I think that there are things that do I think there are things that you can't put your finger on that make brands better, and I think stories really are the big thing. And that was the big thing with Billy for me, was like the story of him and Caroline that got me and pulled me in. What are your opinions on him?
So I love what you said about him like yelling at the TV camera for like 30 seconds of like
Mhm.
what is going on. He's doing all the things that I said again not to do in the commercial where they're like this Friday only. But he did it not in a radio announcer's voice. He had kind of this raspy
Mhm.
normal person voice, like older guy, normal person, like, and he would just go on and you're just listening to a real person kind of ranting at
Mhm.
the TV, really excited about the sale that was going on.
It's like your uncle yelling about a sale at a car dealership.
Exactly. That's exactly what it sounded like. And then Caroline, I thought, like, I still don't understand Caroline, right? Like, she was kind of just a prop in the whole thing. But he would have Caroline come on and have her say all the boring stuff. But then he's like either hanging on her or like leaning into her or whatever and just waiting to interrupt her,
Mhm.
like when does he get to talk so he could
Yes.
interrupt her.
Yeah.
And there was for a while, I'm like, this is sexist. And then I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, because she's like literally, she just stands there, you know?
Mhm.
So it was really interesting. And he ended every commercial pretty much with, at least when we were here, all the commercials ended with, it's going to be huge, Caroline, huge,
Yep.
or it's huge, Caroline, huge. And then it wasn't until after he died that I actually learned more about who he was and how he would do these big car giveaways. And that he would donate a lot to like Boy Scouts or something like that. And
Yeah.
Caroline got paid big bucks for her role in what she was doing. Um, but the thing is if you're going to buy a Kia, and I've noticed this since I've been back, I've actually been listening to the radio and a Kia commercial will come on. And I'm like, I have absolutely no idea who you are, where you are, and I will not remember it beyond this. And I only pay attention that it's Kia because I'm like, Billy sold Kias. And I knew exactly who Billy was. I knew he was in Cape Coral and I knew he sold Kias, right? I don't know this guy. So when it
Yep.
comes to buying a car and I'm trying to think, where do I go? Billy was the only option because he was the only thing, unless I don't want a Kia, obviously, right? But if I want a Kia, if you want a Kia,
Billy's the guy.
why do you go anywhere else?
Yep.
Like, I can't even think. You and I sitting here right now, I don't know if either one of us could come up with the name of another Kia dealership in Southwest Florida. And
Nope.
yet we're still talking about one that the owner, you know, that main personality died, I don't know how many years ago,
Mm.
right? So he died a while ago. We're still talking about him, and yet we still cannot identify another dealership in this area.
Mm.
That's small town famous. Like, I
Yes.
love coming back to this idea of small town famous, that just through his sheer personality and bucking the norms, like still doing what everybody else was doing, but putting his own spin on it and making it completely obnoxious. Like we thought it was obnoxious. We would turn the channel at first. And then it got to the point of like, well, what are they going to do in this commercial? What are they going to do in this commercial? Because every time they would do something, say it a little bit different, do it a little bit different. And I couldn't tell you a thing. I don't even think that what Carolyn said or what he was even ranting was even important. Oh, we got the brand new Kia, da 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 da. Don't care. But he's still the one I would buy a Kia from. So the
100%.
information that everybody thinks is so important in this case, yes, a strong offer is really, really important. But when you're in a world where all your offers are like the same because you're all selling the same product, then you have to be different.
Yes.
And that's what he did. So I'm sure his deals weren't, I could almost guarantee you his deals were the same as anybody else's deals.
Yeah, we actually, Mariah and I, my wife Mariah and I went there looking for a car just to look around, and their prices weren't any better than anybody else's. They weren't really offering anything crazy, but we went there because of those commercials. We were like, let's check it out. We're in the market for a car. Didn't even know if we wanted a Kia. We were like, let's just go there because we can't even think of another dealership. It's like we see them driving around, but why would you go to any of them? There's no reason to go to any of the nameless, faceless dealerships. So let's go to the one that we're familiar with, that we have some sort of connection with. And that to me speaks to even more to the power of a brand, because we didn't even have like a personal, family, like funny connection with it. Like we weren't saying his catchphrases. It didn't stick in our minds as something special or unique or different at the time, but we still went there because that was what we knew. So people are just much more likely to go with what they know. You don't have to, you don't have to build that kind of loving relationship or that kind of really strong relationship with people in your marketing, as long as you are, what's the right word? Is it like omnipresent? If you're just like there.
Omnipresent.
Right? He was there all the time. Every channel you'd be like, there's Billy. So
Yeah, you couldn't get away from him.
Couldn't get away from him. Yeah.
Billy was on every channel and all over the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And the closest I could think now would be like Morgan and Morgan.
Yeah.
Like Morgan and Morgan is everywhere. Not with even an ounce of the charisma and interest. It's just more like they're everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
But Billy, it was just kind of like, what's Billy up to now? What's Billy going to say? What's Carolyn going to say? And what's Billy going to say? I keep saying Caroline. I know it's Caroline. Yeah. What's Caroline going to say? What's Billy going to say? And like, what is the little funny thing they're going to do in this particular skit? Right.
Very strong brand. Yeah.
Yeah. You're always looking for when is the next commercial going to come. And I think that's super powerful. And I love that you said that, like, you guys weren't even quoting it and you still went, we still quote it. Anytime something is big, we go, that's huge. That's huge. Caroline. It's huge.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Clary remembers the commercials. Clary was so young, but they still quote Billy and say that it's huge.
Yeah.
So that is huge. And I was thinking when you were talking about the branding, I was thinking about, why did I ever go to any of the dealerships that I went to? And a lot of it was just driving around looking for a place. But but I mentioned at the beginning, I said, instead of like Foster's or Matthews, why do I know Foster's and Matthews? Because Foster's was Chevy. So there used to be strong brand loyalty to particular brands of vehicles. So there used to be huge brand loyalty. My dad worked for GM. We didn't buy anything other than a GM. Sure. So we would go to the dealership, the GM dealership, because that's the only place you go to buy a car, because we're not a Ford family, right? Like I remember telling him that I had a friend that lent me his old Dodge pickup truck. And I literally felt like I was betraying my father just driving this Dodge pickup truck, because we're a GM family. We're a Chevy family. That's what we're supposed to be getting. And in a world now where there's that brand loyalty is less there, especially because like the union jobs aren't there the way and we're from in the Midwest. It was definitely a union car manufacturing area. I'm from the Rust Belt. And so there was a lot of loyalty through that. I never even would have considered a Kia until you hear Billy. And then you hear Billy again and again and again and again and again. And I'm like, wait a minute, Kia's a car? Is that something that I'm allowed to buy? You know, I'm not sure if I'm permitted to, but now
Yep.
I'm aware of it. And I'm thinking about crossing loyalties there. So I think that's another big thing is you can't depend on people being loyal to the brand of car anymore the way that you used to. And you've got to create your own brand so that you stand out in the sea of all these vehicles that are out there. I mean, there are still outliers. There's still Tesla, right? There's still things that are people are much more loyal to it and excited about it. But the old standards, the GM, Ford, Dodge, all of that, it's not what it used to be. So we're selling cars. We're selling trucks.
I was going to say, we're selling trucks.
We're selling trucks.
We're nuts about trucks.
We're nuts about trucks. Oh my gosh, that's so good. That makes me so happy. Okay, we're nuts about trucks. So obviously the dealership itself, all trucks in the front. Mm-hmm. But what can we do when somebody comes onto the lot and they walk into the dealership? What do we do on the inside of that dealership where they feel like they have walked into their Mecca, right? This is the holy land for truck owners. This is, it's just the angels are singing, the lights come on, and they're like, I am in the right place. What do we do with the location itself to make it just irresistible to the truck buyer?
Okay, I'm gonna start on the outside because I think you skipped over that too quickly.
I did.
All right, so
I just jumped right inside, but no, go outside. I'm all for it.
Definitely trucks out front. I'm gonna say that I would also like several extremely large trucks on the roof if we could make that happen, like monster trucks maybe.
Yes.
Like parked kind of at an angle so you can see them look like they're about to ramp off the roof. I think that's important.
Love that.
I feel like maybe we can tap into a little bit of what we had from the bank episode where there is a person that is not a salesperson waiting inside the dealership to escort you to some sort of lounge area. I don't know if we're skewing too far, male to like demographic to like make this like a, I don't know, like a bar lounge area where they can sit and watch something. Yeah, sports, or you know what I mean. I that might be better for like a men's barber shop.
Yeah, but okay,
you know what I mean?
on. Yeah. Can a car dealership have a liquor license?
I sure hope so.
That would be awesome. Now there are downsides.
Yeah.
It's hard to test drive a vehicle if you've been sitting at the dealership bar for a while. But like, I want to follow that concept at least. Okay. That would be the right kind of, like, you don't want a coffee bar.
Yeah, you want like a whiskey bar.
A whiskey bar. Oh, I love it. A whiskey bar. I want to see saddle stools and cowboy hats and lassos and all of that.
Leather furniture and
big horns hanging on the wall, maybe a couple of deer heads. We can combine hunting cabin with, like, it could be kitschy as.
Yeah, it should look like the inside of what's the sporting goods? Oh my god, I'm blanking right now.
Bass Pro Shop.
Thank you, Bass Pro Shop. Yes, it should look like the inside of a Bass Pro. Maybe like a fireplace, that might be cool.
Yes.
Yeah, sit around the fire, bearskin rug, get very kitschy. I think that's the right. Yep.
Super kitschy, over the top, like all the biggest macho men heroes of all the movies ever that men love just threw up all over the space.
Yep, I love that.
You can have a little Rambo, a little Chuck Norris, but then like Chuck Norris, Walker Texas Ranger Chuck Norris, and you just like
important distinction. Yeah.
all the things that are like, this is a man stuff. Yeah, it's got to be a huge man cave, or ridiculous and over the top.
Yeah, and I think that I'm seeing a common theme in a lot of our episodes where I love the idea of being able to go somewhere and hang out with other people that are like me. I have so many different interests, and like there really aren't a lot of businesses and niches that do that. And it's a very clear way, a very easy way to differentiate yourself is to say, like, look, you can just come to this space, even if you're not here to buy a truck. Like, come here and hang out with other like-minded people that are, people that are like you, people that like trucks. So for me, the interior needs to have a dedicated space for that as well. Maybe
I
you can
love
even
that.
have people that come in to do like product demos. You have like lift kits for trucks down here are really popular. There's like a company that could come in and demo like a new product or a new add-on for your truck. There's so many opportunities there if you have the space, if you make sure that there's a dedicated space for that, for hosting events in the dealership as well. So
Yeah, I was going to totally go the events route as well. I think that that's one of the things that could really help it stand out. So I like the idea though of having like, yes, we have events, but we also have somewhere where you can go just any day, any time. And maybe it's even offsite. Maybe this just legalities of alcohol in trucks, but maybe this, you know, Truck Nuts has a branded bar just a couple of blocks up the way that cross promotes, right?
well, maybe you could, they're down here, it's Redneck Yacht Club and
Mm.
Lazy Springs that are those like mud park places. Maybe you find one of those places and you build your dealership like on the lot next door. Like we build Truck Nuts
So smart.
next to the Redneck Yacht Club in the mud park. That way, like I'm sure they all drink over there, right? It's like you
Yep.
have the place to hang out, go use the thing that you bought at Truck Nuts, and they'll break down and get stuck in the mud, so you can have a towing service where you just tow it from the park over to your dealership and you work on the trucks. Like there's going to a place like that and either making it a professional partnership or just buying a place like that, making a place like that and a dealership next to it, I think would be ideal.
I love this. So another thing that a lot of dealerships do is they get the expensive lot of land on the busy highway because they
Mm,
want everybody driving past seeing what they have.
yep.
What if we do it in the middle of frickin' nowhere
Yep.
next to the mud pits? I like that. I like that a whole lot. Like wherever we're setting this up, if we're setting this up down here in Florida and we really keened in on this is our ideal client, people will travel. You don't need to be on the main highway to have people talk about where you're going to be.
Mm,
They'll go an hour, they'll go 2 hours. I bet you could get out of state people coming to this place if you do it right and you're kitschy enough and you call it Truck Nuts and it's next to, you can get people coming from out of state just to check out your truck dealership. And then this is where we can start to do some of the marketing things that we would, for an air conditioning company. We talked about this before. Like you don't want to do reels for an air conditioning company because it goes nationwide. This is the sort of thing you could do reels for because everybody around the country is like, man, next time we're in Florida, or we should just do a guy's trip down there and we'll take our trucks down there and we'll, hang out at this area, the mud hole where we can play around.
mm.
But then we also have this here. What I would also do when I'm buying that is I would buy, let's say we partner up and somebody else owns the mud hole. I would buy them extra land and just say we're about to, bring the we're about to open the throttle on this, and a lot of people are going to be coming down, and we want to make sure that they're all having a great time. So we'd love to make sure that you have enough to accommodate them, and we're going to invest in you because when we grow, you're going to grow, and vice versa. So we want to make sure we're investing in you as well.
Man, that's a great idea. Yeah, it's like I like the partnership angle because, it's cheaper to have somebody else out there working for you and advocating for you than it is to like buy that whole business and run it too. That
Mm.
is really a separate business, even though they feed into each other. So I like the professional partnership angle for sure. And buying land, like that's so genius, right? Like you could get seen as the hero, right? It's like you love the mud park, right? we're going to double the size of the mud park. Like, bring all your friends, all your family. We are turning this thing up to 11.
Small local business. Here's Jack. He's been running this mud pit for 26 years, and we're going to help him elevate and take it to the next level. And we're going to make the coolest mud pit you've ever seen.
Great headlines like Truck Nuts Mud Pit Expansion Project. Like, oh man, that's crazy.
Again, you can't not talk about it.
Yep.
Well, with that, I would also, because now we're not constricted to a corner lot on a major highway, we have room, and we have elbow room, and there's so much more we can do with truck shows. And so you have the mud pit, and maybe even with the mud pit, you help them expand out into truck pools and things like that. The kind of stuff you usually see at the county fair, but like you kind of want to see it all year long. It can even go into tractor pools. I don't know if you guys do tractor pools and stuff like that down here.
Not as much, but you got mud pit racing. You got there's swamp boat racing. There's stuff like that. And I agree, you need like a motocross track. You need to kind of venture into some of the other things that people do down here. ATV trails, there's so many ways that you can go with it.
Because they can haul their ATVs down there on the back of their truck. And we're going to have in campgrounds. There's got to be campgrounds right nearby. Yep. It would be, again, so that's that whole Mecca idea. When they walk up, they're like, this is my place. These are my people, and this is my place. Yeah.
Yes.
And why would I want to be anywhere else other than here? And that's why I like too having some sort of competition in it, because once you get people wanting to win the blue ribbon, and they have to keep upping their game. And I want to get into competitions in a minute. I don't want to forget, you mentioned about the trucks on top of the building. I love that so much. And it made me remember when I was a kid, there was I don't even really know what this place was. I think it was a auto repair shop, but I'm not entirely sure. But it was on the road that we lived on, and we passed it all the time. And the reason I remember it is because they had an orange Corvette that reminded me of the Dukes of Hazzard car. It was orange like the Dukes of Hazzard car. So as a kid, I thought that was the Dukes of Hazzard car. Somehow they had that car, and they had it on a giant pole. And so then they just have the car sitting up in the air. That's it. Just a car, like 15 feet up in the air. And as a kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But you always recognize the place, right? Yep. So it was just like visually, it was always there. And so like having these trucks that are up and in some sort of scene, like I don't even know how I would do it, but like I'm visualizing like almost like it's a still shot of like mud coming up and just like activity. So not just two trucks sitting there, but like you said, almost like ramping off, or at a little bit of an angle. Maybe one of the wheels is up off the ground because he's making a tight turn or something like that. Just to give that feeling of activity from those trucks. And you're just seeing a moment in time of these trucks, like in action, like put like permanent mud on them or something. So they wash it off.
Yeah. No, I'm in. Yeah. And you need it that's the other benefit of like doing it out in the middle of nowhere next to the mud park, is like people will see that from so far away. It's like a calling card to anybody that's even anywhere near there. They're like, oh, they don't have to look and wonder what goes on there. They're like, oh, that's the truck place. It's like instantly they understand what it is. And that same mentality, I think, can be applied all the way up and down a lot of the things that we talk about, right? So like ads, when you see an ad, to me, you need to instantly know what it's about. You need to instantly know who it's for, what they're selling. And if you can do that with your literal physical location, that's so powerful.
Yep. Yeah. Being able to communicate with very little words.
Yep.
Just visually they understand it, or that, with an ad, oftentimes that's a short headline, right? A short headline that's like, I understand exactly who this ad is for and what it's going to be, the problem it solves, what product is. I totally agree with that. And I also love it kind of out in the middle of nowhere, because it kind of creates this sense of pilgrimage and discovery and, intention. As soon as you create the feeling of intention in somebody. Like, I want to go there.
Mm.
Like, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, and it becomes its own little Disneyland for truck people. Then they're going with intention. And when they show up with intention, their money's already out.
Yep.
We're not having a conversation at that point. We're not haggling at that point. Now they might try, some people haggle, but we're not for the most part haggling.
Yeah,
You're
they've already made
paying.
up their mind. Yeah.
Yep, they've
They've already
already
made
made
up
up
their
their mind.
mind. You just have to try to not mess it up at that point.
So what this is making me realize is in Sandusky we have bike week, and it's a really big bike week. It's one of the bigger ones in the Midwest. It goes for like 10 days. It's ridiculous. Our whole downtown gets full of motorcycles, and we have a Harley dealership, and a Harley dealership does not sell just Harleys. They do sell Harleys, but they sell all of the accessories. They sell the t-shirts, they sell the koozies, they sell the coffee mugs, they sell the sunglasses, they sell the leather vests, they sell the helmets, they sell the saddlebags, they sell accessories for the helmets, they sell it all. So you walk into a Harley Davidson dealership, and the one we have is like a 2-story massive, like, I don't want to say massive, but it's a pretty good sized building. And when bike week comes, like, they're just, again, people come from all over the country to come to this bike week. You can't get near the doors of the Harley Davidson, and the people walking into those doors have intent.
Yep.
They're there to spend money and spend it now.
Yep.
Yesterday, like, make the line go faster so I can buy even more of this stuff. And we used to have a shop downtown, and the vendors would set up, vendors on the street, and people show up and they've got money. We made a couple $1,000s just selling like water and juices and things, because people are like, yep, I need to buy things. I need to buy things. Or we were selling fudge. Like, it was ridiculous. So that's, if you can create that kind of environment in advance, you make the sale just so it's not even selling. It's not, you're doing them a favor at that point. You're being nice enough to sell it to them because they're dying to have it. And when you change that, I talk about this a lot, and this is what I love about Facebook. And we can talk about Facebook with this, obviously, but this is what I talk about with Facebook is we're trying to change the dynamic from I'm selling to you, which means I'm leaning in, I'm trying to convince you, I'm putting pressure on you, right? Putting pressure on, to me backing up and you kind of being sucked in by a vacuum. That, like, this person is really cool. I really love what they do. That's a really good point. I never thought about that before. We were talking before the recording that we've got water damage on the ceiling, and I've built a relationship with a roofing company that I'm like, there's no option. This isn't them trying to sell me. I already know them. And they did an entire education series on how insurance companies are trying to screw you and how they bring in these sorts of experts to find exactly what the problem is to make sure that you get covered fully. So after they've educated me on all that, why on earth would I call a different company? I know they understand my problems as a homeowner. So they never have to sell me. They have to quote me, but they never have to sell me on them and hiring them specifically, because I'm already sold on them.
Yes.
And that's what this sort of thing does. They're already sold before they've put the key in the ignition.
Yep.
They're already sold. They've already checked their bank account. They've already seen how much room they've got on their credit card, and they know they're going to spend money. And that's the kind of business I want to be in, is one where somebody's like, just take my money. Just take my money. Just take it. Take it all. Take all the money, because it makes me so happy to spend that money with you.
Yeah, I love that. You're speaking my language, and I have personal experience with a lot of people that fit into this category for this kind of business. And I know that it exists in a lot of niches, but they get particularly tribal about their kind of truck and about like the how high the lift is and the kind of tires. Like, there are so many little individual, like, specific pieces of a truck and of this kind of niche that there's so many opportunities to capitalize on it. So I'm excited about our dealership. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just realized though, like we are creating a horrible situation here in Southwest Florida because already the big tall trucks on the roads are so obnoxious.
I think they
Really
can be
want to add
obnoxious all they
this.
want. You just give us your money.
Yeah,
Go
just
be
get
obnoxious.
don't be obnoxious. We'll sell you the truck. You can love it and you can run it in the mud, but be kind to everybody else on the road.
Nah. We're gonna have shirts that say, have fun slogans like "if you're slow, get out of my way" or whatever. We're gonna tap into that too.
No,
Obnoxious
I agree. I agree. There's the right thing to do as far as marketing, and then there's the right thing to do as far as creating a better world. If I was trying to create a better world, I don't know that I would open a truck dealership, but if I wanted to make money, I would open a truck dealership. So the inside of this thing, if we've got the mud pit next door, let's say the mud pit has alcohol, we'll let the mud pit handle the alcohol,
Yep.
and that's where they can have a bar and everything over there, or it's BYB, whatever.
Yep.
So the inside of this, we're going to have a lounge where they can hang out and be able to talk and like rub shoulders. We're going to have educational events in there. It's going to teach them how to install that lift kit. We are also then, I see, you're going to have trucks inside, but then I really want it to be like Bass Pro Shop or like the Harley Davidson dealerships where it is swag.
Yep.
I think that it's mostly about promoting that tribalism like you talked about. It's mostly going to be about creating that tribe, because if we just focus on the car, if we just focus on the truck, like the truck is an important thing, but we don't need to convince them of the truck.
Yep.
We don't need to convince them of the truck if they've already decided they're a truck person. We don't need to convince them of this truck over that truck. They've already done their research, right? Yep. What we need to do is facilitate their image of themselves, to facilitate their projection into the world of who they are, what tribe they do belong to, and make sure that nobody mistakes the fact that they have a big truck.
Yep.
So I see it like merch. Yeah. Like it's just full of merch. Like you said, the t-shirts, it should be all the t-shirts. You should have the little Calvin peeing on the Ford and the Calvin peeing on the Chevy, like all of that. And there's so much better things that they have out there now, but that would be ironic and retro and all that good stuff. But there's so much you can do with that you could almost just build a business on truck merch. Yeah. I'm sure an online business for sure. And you can go online with this as well. But I don't know that you can do like an online truck merch business in the middle of nowhere without also selling trucks. So, and trucks are going to pay the bills. Like, let's be honest here. Trucks are going to pay the bills. So yeah, just giving them all of these opportunities to, just like the Harley Davidson people want you to know they drive a bike. Yep. And that it's a Harley Davidson.
Yeah, I was going to say that they drive a Harley. Yeah, they ride a Harley.
They have a whole costume. And the funny thing about Bike Week is it happens at the same exact time as our Colossal Con anime convention. So, I mean, our little town it's bursting at the seams. Because we have the bikers there and we have the anime geeks at the big water park that's a little bit further out of town. And I realized, you go out to eat and you've got anime people walking in and they're looking like how they look. They're all dressed up. They're all cosplay, which I love. I do. It's a lot of fun. And then I looked over and there's a bunch of bikers sitting at a table. And I'm like, that's their cosplay.
Culture shock. Yeah, that's it.
And not even culture shock. It is definitely, there's a lot of like, there is a lot of juxtaposition of the two people being in the same area. But then when you look at them and you realize they're just cosplaying too.
Yep.
They're doing the exact same thing as the people at the anime convention are doing. They want to look like the character of themselves. They imagine themselves as being as bikers, right? So what does a biker look like? How do I show the world that I like bikes and I want to look like a biker? So they buy a costume that makes them look like a biker.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's the exact same thing as cosplay. So we almost need to kind of create like, I don't know what the trucker or truck driver, because trucker's different, truck
Yeah.
truck owner, what is their costume? And I think that we can lead the way in that. I mean, obviously cut off t-shirts, mullets, like
Sure.
we can find we got to have the mullet,
Mullets are back in.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. We
Yep.
have to have mullet wigs
There's
and
like the solid kind of like reflective, colorful sunglasses that are in for truckers. There's a lot of stuff that's in. American flag merch. There's a lot of
march for sure.
the Eagles.
Eagle
Yep.
carrying the American flag, even better.
Yep. Standing on top of a truck. Like there's
Yes.
so many. There's so
Better.
much of that. And like to me, it's almost like you're trying to find a character, or
Yes.
you're trying to find a character, and then you're trying to turn it into a caricature, right? So you go and get your portrait done by a caricature artist, and they like exaggerate all the features. That's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to like
Yes.
find this type of person and say, here's the person that you want to be. Here's all this stuff that feeds into the narrative that that you tell yourself about who you are. And like, let's turn it up to 11. Like, you should be this person even more. And here's all this stuff that will let you do it. So,
Yes. Because then they dive in deep, and then
mhm,
they're like, these are my people, and I want to dress like my people, and I want to be like my people, and I
mhm,
want to feel like I fit in with my people.
yep,
Every single one of those bikers at Bike Week would tell you that they're individualistic and that they're rebels when they look exactly like everybody else that is there for Bike
yep,
Week. So they're all rebels, they're all individualistic, but they all look exactly the same.
yep,
And I think that's a big misconception that people have of like, oh, I want to be unique and stand out. And mostly nobody really wants to be that unique and stand out. They do still want their tribe, and they want to feel comfortable within that tribe. They want to feel like other people do understand them. It may be out of the mainstream, right? Being a biker is out of the mainstream. Is it anymore? I mean, I feel like it's kind of it may be a little bit out of the mainstream, but they want to tell this story about themselves, that I'm rugged, I'm tough. And what is the story that a truck driver wants to tell themselves? Rugged, tough, not afraid to get dirty. They like to let loose on the weekend. So you got to get really clear about that story that they're using to identify themselves, so that they, I was thinking about my hairdresser. She's definitely like, I don't think she has a truck, but I think that her boyfriend or husband or whatever does, because they go mudding like every weekend.
yep,
All the time she's on vacation, and it's always where the mud pits are, and they go camping and they do all of that. And they just identify, this is what we do. This is what we do. While other people are going off and going to the beaches, we're in the mud pits. And you can even kind of create that dichotomy of, like you said, redneck yacht club type of thing. Like, oh, there's the hoity toities, but we know how to get down, right?
mhm,
We know how to have real fun.
yep,
And kind of like throw that in the face of the more conventional what people would do. And like, yeah, you think my truck is obnoxious, but I'm still cooler than you, right?
yeah, yep,
I know how to have fun, and you've got to stick up your butt.
yep, yep,
So I
yeah,
like it for that too.
yeah. I love that. It's all the things that we hate about politics. I think that like othering, right? It's like
Right.
that. Those are the other people over there. It strengthens the bonds within a tribe, and it
Yep.
signals to people that like I'm one of you, right? And um as a business, like you can tap into all these things that are in politics are used for not great things, but really
Right.
we're using it to build a business. And like you really can, just by showing that you are 100% for this tribe. Like, I am the pillar of this tribe. I'm going to give you
Mhm.
everything that you guys want, and here's all the things to prove it. You can build a huge business with that. So I'm all in.
Huge,
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 Caroline.
Duncan, huge. Well, and I think what's important to say too, because like the ethical part of my brain wants to chime in on that.
Boo.
I view. So, like you said with politics, real people get hurt in politics. I think if you're having fun with it, and you're not actually damaging other people, it's not that much different than sports, right? My brother is a Steelers fan. He lives, breathes, eats Steelers 24/7. Like, if the Steelers lose, he's having a bad week, right? But it doesn't hurt anybody, right? He can have his fandom, he can have his thing that he leans into, but he can still live the rest of his life and nobody's getting hurt, save the concussions that the football players are getting. But
Yeah, he's not going
I
out and punching a Bills fan, you know?
yeah, exactly. And nor would we really want that to go there, right? It's a friendly bantering. You may really feel the feelings, but it's a friendly bantering. And for the most part, everybody realizes it's just a game. And I think if you look at it that way, that you're not actually hurting the other people that are on the other side, that you can create those juxtapositions and those otherings without it being like, you're not human, because, it's just like, hey, my lifestyle I think is cooler than your lifestyle, and I'm going to elevate my lifestyle and say it's cooler than yours. And the person on the other side says, your lifestyle sucks. My lifestyle is the better lifestyle, right?
Yep.
That can be kind of that friendly bantering type of thing. That politics is not currently, it's not friendly, and it's not without damages and victims and that sort of thing. So
for sure, it just taps into the same psychology, right? It's like
yes,
the same.
it's the same mindset, but you got to use it for good instead of evil.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. All about it. Yeah, I like the idea of trying to examine those things like that in my own business, not being niche down as much as I could be or should be. It's hard to identify things like that, right? Which is, I think, speaks to the power of a really good niche with a really built-in loyal fan base already. Like, you don't have to build a fan base of truck people. Like, they're already there. I was just listening to a podcast with Jeff Bezos, and he was talking about, it's one of the first like podcasts that he's done. He doesn't sit down and do a lot of like long form stuff. He was talking about how the only reason he could build Amazon is because people before him, generations before him, had built the hard infrastructure of the internet. They built, the highways, the roadways, the things that made it possible for him to do what he did. So it's like standing on the shoulders of giants, essentially, right? And like, I think the same really can be said for marketing campaigns like this, or marketing strategies, ideas like this. It's like, you don't always have to build your own audience from scratch. There are tons of audiences out there that you can just say, hey, this is the audience that I'm building this business for. This is who we speak to. This is who we're for.
No, I love that. I think that it's kind of like dipping your cup into the waterfall that's already there.
Yep.
There's already a waterfall there. You don't have to go hunting for water. You don't have to gather up water, right? You don't have to try to find a way to store it. There's an endless stream of customers already who already want this product or service, and or already raving fans for this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
So an example I'll use is in my rabbit toy business, that people who own house rabbits are absolutely crazy for their house rabbits. But people who own hamsters are not so crazy about their hamsters, right? So, they like them, but it's not like having a house rabbit. And so I could have tried to change the culture among hamster users, because there's probably more pet hamsters than there are house rabbits. So I could either go in there and try to change it and create a culture within hamsters. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it becomes a boon, maybe it doesn't. Or I can simply go to the waterfall that's already there, a group of people that are passionate about what it is they're passionate about, that are rabbit people, not cat people, not dog people, they're rabbit people,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're rabbit people, and they're, there's a certain level of, what do we want to call it, persecution there, because everybody makes fun of like, oh, I eat rabbits, that sort of thing. So they bond over that sort of thing. So they're already a really tight knit tribe, and there's already a central organization that's bringing them all together. And so all I have to do is just let them know I'm there and give them what they want. Like, that's it. I don't have to convince them of anything. I might have to answer some questions, but they already want to buy stuff for their rabbits. So I just got to put it in front of them. This is why I like Facebook groups. I come back to Facebook groups so often because that's where the waterfalls are. And we talk about their ponds for fishing in. We'll switch the analogy to ponds, right? There's already fish in those ponds. They're dying for the bait that you have. And if you have bait that's similar to what they want, but not exactly what they want, you just make some tweaks and you give it to them and they go nuts. And, I've seen huge responses in Facebook groups because it's a fandom. I've seen it with pumpkin spice lattes. I had a client that sold like 50 pumpkin spice latte car fresheners in the pumpkin spice latte Facebook group.
Wow.
All she had to do was create a product for the people that were already there, already congregated together, and already said, this is what we are passionate about. And it's almost like they're just showing their hands. These are the things that I would buy anything of. I have a dash hound. I don't have a dash hound, but I remember this lady telling me, like, I'm in a dash hound Facebook group and we buy everything dash hound. And I'm like, what is the name of your group? I'm sure I could tell a couple of people to make some dash hound. Yeah.
Yep, I love businesses like that, right? Like, we're going off on, I know we're literally talking about a business like that right now, but it's like, if you can find a built-in pool of customers, a built-in pond of customers like that, it's just so powerful. And like, that's what this mud park thing is, right? Like, they're already there. It's not
next to them.
It's not if you build it, they will come. It's like, go to where they already are and build it. It's like, go there.
Yep. Yeah, they're already there. I love that.
Yep.
And so the other things I would do with this business, I mean, we talked a lot about Facebook. You've got the mud park right next door. I would say, hey, we'll handle, like, we'll come over and we'll film some things, put it on social media, and we'll tag you in our social media posts. But we want to film your trucks going through things. It would definitely be a lot of video of, we just got in the shipment of truck nuts shot glasses. Obviously the whole branding thing, like, it's got to be in the merch is truck nuts branded stuff. We just got a shipment of this in, obviously have an e-commerce store.
Yep.
Going through, these are the new trucks that just came off, or here's a custom built that just was delivered, and let me show you the coolest features about this truck. Videos. I would do a lot with reels because, again, I think you can do with e-commerce, you can do with people coming from out of state to come buy from you. That's why the interior's got to be all of it's got to be so kitschy and over the top so that people are like, what is this? Or really leaning into it. I think that, some of the things I would normally do, I just don't think are going to be necessary. Like, introducing them to staffers, or maybe like the salespeople and stuff. But I think that you're going to have such showing them the thing their brain is already predisposed to be attracted to, showing them those things. And I've talked about this with the rabbit business, that back in the day, years ago, when Facebook was young, they used to have these, the profile picture was different. Now I can't really describe it, but it was different. And when I would run an ad, or the ads were different. The ads were on the right-hand side. And when I would run an ad, the picture would show up on the right-hand side. And so I always did ads with rabbits with their ears up, because out of the corner of their eye, they could just see a rabbit. If the ears are down, it could be a puppy, it could be a guinea pig, it could be anything, the eye's not double checking it. But if the ears are up, they know it's a rabbit. And a rabbit person that's already predisposed to wanting to look at anything that looks like a rabbit, because that's what they love, can't not see it. They can't not see it. And so it's the same thing with the trucks. Like, if you put all that content out there using pictures of trucks, stories about customers who have bought trucks, if you have truck shows, I mean, like, there's got to be a truck show at least once a month, where you've got food trucks out there, you've got people bringing their trucks, you have voting and judging that's happening based on, like, the best looking truck, the one that's the most decked out, and
the
oldest
local
truck.
The local Harley Davidson place, you mentioned Harley already, they have concerts. It's like an outdoor concert venue.
Yes.
And like all the bikes come in there and park and go watch the concert that appeals to that demographic. They had like, they have like classic rock or whatever, it's like, and you pick
Classic
that
rock
same.
country.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
Classic rock
It's just,
country. That's all we need.
yes, exactly. Yep. So you have like the concert venue where you bring in acts that are going to hit that demographic, and you just become, it's really it. It's like the Disney World for truck people, and it's not that hard when you think about like, what would this person want? Like what makes them tick, and then just give it to them. So.
And again, being in a field of middle of nowhere, you have room of putting up even a covered stage so that you're always prepared and you always have these events that you can be putting on.
Yeah.
And you can have different themes to the events, and you could have different potentially partnering sponsors of the events that come in and do something special during the event itself. There's no end. This turned out so much better than what I was even thinking. I was like, we could have like truck owner parties and things like that, and everybody will know that that's where they could go for like to show off their truck. Like, this is so much better being in a field in the middle of nowhere, because it gives you unlimited space to do everything you would want to do. And because you're not fighting for the corner space on a major roadway,
Not that expensive.
you can do things that may not, justify the cost per square foot on the highway, but like the land is dirt cheap out here in the middle of the swamp. So we're just going to put it out there in the middle of the swamp. And I would even say that, like, come out to the swamp. Like we're I don't know, I bring swamp into it somewhere.
If I owned the mud pit, that's probably what I would name it. I'd like, come on down to the swamp this weekend. We got this country band coming. Like, yep.
Yeah, and that's it. Like the mud pit can have their own events, and each business can take their own shot at doing whatever kinds of events that they want to do, and they could share the amphitheater space. And if the mud pit's like, hey, we've got some bands, we want to do an all day festival type of thing, it's like, cool,
great. Yeah.
Then the truck company knows, we know to just amp up our staff for that weekend and make sure we're well stocked and all of that good stuff, and maybe have some things going of our own to draw people over. Yeah, I think we nailed it.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know what else to add, like video, social media.
Yeah, like there's content that's just kind of built into that, right? There's that same kind of thing that we've talked about before, where you can build out characters with goldfish at a bank. Like, you could have different trucks that have different characters that are wrapped or done in a different way that are out there rolling around in the city. And it's like, hey, look out for this truck. There's a local guy that does, if you see a picture of one of our vans on a Wednesday and take a picture of it, you get like $300 cash or something, and then they post a picture with the van. And like there's something there, like you could make some sort of giveaway or some sort of cool thing. If you see
giveaways could be amazing.
Oh man, they'd be killer. You see this truck out on the road on this day of the month, take a picture of it. First person to send us a picture, or like this random number, if you're the 18th person to send us a picture of the truck, you're going to get a free lift kit or a free whatever. There's so many opportunities there for that.
I love that so much.
You're essentially selling rolling billboards too. If you're into those kind of crazier, kitted out trucks, it's like they're going to be out there representing the place that they bought it from, because they're like, yeah, I bought it from this place. They'll be proud of it.
And if the citizens of the town aren't pissed off by whatever that's wrapped with, I don't think we're doing our job.
Yeah.
It's gotta be like inappropriate enough without like, we need to find the line. And we need to be right up next to that line.
No. We need to put one nut on one side of the line and one nut on the other. That's what we need. We need to be on both sides of the line, right? I think we need a pair of truck nuts that say truck nuts on them. That's where I'm going with this.
I think I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea of having kind of like rolling billboards, and you could send them to different towns. Like if you're in the middle of Florida,
Mm.
like if you're out where like I don't know, like Clewiston or something like
Yeah,
that. If
Lake
you're
Okeechobee.
Immokalee or
Yeah.
something out there, that's not that far from like Miami and Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-mm.
So you could actually, if you build in the middle, you've got Southwest Florida, but you also have South Florida.
Mm.
You've got the whole Miami, Fort Lauderdale, that whole area that you can
Yeah.
tap into, plus the Southwest Florida, plus that kind of interior that's a little bit more hillbilly to begin with, if I'm being
Horse
honest.
country. Yeah.
um, so you've got those two, all of those ranges, and
Sure.
you've just by building in the middle, your local market is double because either side is willing. I mean, not double because the south side's way bigger than
Massive.
South
Yeah.
Florida. But you've tapped into both of these markets, and they're all willing to drive a certain distance to get there.
Mm.
I think we haven't built it big enough.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
so
I think
too.
we need to double, triple the size of all of it.
Yep.
In order. I mean, I'm also thinking like Buc-ee's. Have you ever been to Buc-ee's?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been to Buc-ee's because I saw it was actually the YouTube channel Snake Discoveries
Mm-hmm.
that I found out about Buc-ee's. They went on a road trip and she's like, "You guys, we found Buc-ee's," and she was so excited about it that the next time I was on a road trip and there was a Buc-ee's, I'm like,
We're going.
"Oh, we have to go to Buc-ee's,
Yep.
don't we?" Like she was so excited about it. What is this Buc-ee's? And then I'm like, I walk in there, I'm like, what is this place? Like the one that gets me the most is like the swimsuits.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one piece women's swimsuits with the Bucky all
Yeah.
over it. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
like
so
the
over the
tacky.
top. Yeah.
It's so
Love
over the
it.
top and tacky. I'm like, who buys this?
Mm.
But I don't know if anybody buys it. It should be there anyhow because
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you talk about. Like, oh my gosh, like
Yep.
they have like the weirdest stuff. So I think about it like Buc-ee's too, that people will go out of their way to go to a gas station. I want people going way out of their way to get to my car dealership, my
Yep.
truck dealership, where I sell only the biggest, baddest, coolest trucks. And I'm also going to sell old rundown trucks.
Yep.
Because we could have a whole little truck club about fixing up these older trucks and how do we lift them and change them and fix the motors and they can.
That's the group that would be more likely to hang out at your whiskey bar, like indoor. They're kind of like the older kind of restoration crowd. That's like a different, not a different market. Like they're kind of in the same arena, but their aesthetic is a little bit different. And I think they would.
Well, if you are, I maybe I shouldn't say restore, repurpose a truck. That's where I go back to things like the tractor pulls and things like that. How do you take this old rust bucket of a truck and turn it into something on big giant wheels that you can race and put in the mud
Sure.
and not so much about making it glossy and pretty, but like how do you make it bad?
Yeah.
How do you take this old truck and make it bad?
Yeah, it's like a Frankenstein kind of vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And for the people that like the mechanical part of it, more mechanic than restoration.
Got it. Okay.
People that want to get in there and they're like, oh, I just added I don't know, whatever they add to cars to make them work better, to make them bigger, stronger.
Yeah, the blinker
louder.
fluid, the blinker fluid, and the whatever else, the sprockets.
I'm
Yeah.
sure like the blinker fluid is at the top of the forums when they're talking about jacking up trucks. It's like blinker fluid. Yes.
I'm a marketing guy, not a car guy, not a truck guy.
I think we've both made that very apparent that we don't really know what we're talking about. But I do want to point out that we cannot know what we are talking about and still come up with a solid marketing plan for a business that we know very little about, because it's not about the thing. And that's not to say that it shouldn't be educated people at the dealership, right? Salesperson needs to be very educated. The maintenance repair guys obviously need to be very educated. Even the people that are on the sales floor with the merch should be truck enthusiasts, right?
Yeah.
They should be people that are like, this is my dream job.
They should be truck nuts.
Yeah, they need to be truck nuts too. And they should wear little things. I'm a truck nut. Ask me for help. I'm a truck nut.
I love this business.
So everybody there should be, but the person who owns the business, it really doesn't matter. they can just create the environment. They can just ask people, what do you want? And give them what they want, or pay attention to, like, these are the things that they're buying. These are the things that they're looking at. So we're going to create one big place to do all of that, where they get everything, that we're going to bring all the elements together, and we're going to be extravagant and over the top and ridiculous.
Yep. Love it.
I love it too. You ready to start one?
Yeah, I'm going to go look for investors. We need some money.
We're going to need a lot of money.
A lot.
We're going to need a lot of money. We got to need to buy the swampland.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know, that's the hard thing about this business. Like, I know peripherally somebody that helped build one of these mud parks, and they know the owner. It's like, I already got the connection.
You're already in. Now we just need to, like, get somebody to sell, like, adjacent parcels, and
we know a good realtor. Like, we got this. Let's do it.
Yes, Scott, if you're listening to this, we need adjacent parcels to the mud pits, so that we can create our truck nuts Mecca.
No less than 10 acres.
No less than 10 acres. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Now it should be like 10 acres of trucks for sale. 10 acres of just, like, trucks
Solid
as far
truck.
as the eye could see.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, I think we could go on forever, because I think there's just a million things. Like, I was even thinking, like, bringing the petting zoo in. You could bring carnival rides in. Like, there's it's just unlimited of what you can do. And when I think about it, I think about, like, what taps into that small town, like big truck, small town, right?
Yep.
Big truck is about tapping into that small town. That's why I even said country music. It taps into that small town feeling of just small town entertainment. I don't say that in a derogatory way, but no. Like, these are the types of things people in the small towns take their trucks out, and they go to the river, and they go and do stuff, or they go to the mud pits, or they go wherever it is they go to have that entertainment, to let loose, to drink, to have a good time, to meet up with their buddies, bullshit about stuff.
Yep.
And it's just a way for people in that community to kind of get together and be together and do things that country folk do and small town people do. So anything that taps into that small town, like carnival rides and petting zoos and country music concerts and that sort of thing, I think is just a winner. And that's the other reason why I like having it in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's like middle of nowhere, Central Florida, in between two large cities, two large coastal communities. You get the benefit of both of those markets coming to travel to this amazing business, and then you also get the benefit of seeming like I don't know, small town famous, right? It's like small town famous, but also small town hero, because you're coming in
and hero, yes.
You're like creating all these jobs, and you're going to pay people really well because you have all this business, and like you're bringing life to a community that otherwise didn't have it. Like, I've driven through these tiny towns. There's not a lot going on there, right? You can get in at a point where they want more things before it gets too busy, and they're like, oh, I don't want to live here anymore. It's lost a small town charm. It's pretty easy to be like the pillar of one of those small communities because there's nothing else there. So, and
you're bringing in small town charm. You're not bringing in, like, a big, huge hotel complexes and we could totally do hotel. We should do motels. It should be like surrounded by like Motel 6s. Like, for when people come in town, you can either camp or you can stay $45 a night at the Motel 6. Yeah. But it brings that nostalgia, and even when you say like small town hero, I think about all the people. So I'm from a small town, but I live here in Southwest Florida. A lot of people come from small towns up north, come down here, very different atmosphere and vibe down here than what it was up north. And they want to kind of hold on to that part of them. This is a part of them that they can hold on to, that they can again tap into that community feeling around the things they grew up with. And because I don't feel that here. Like, up north, we have the ice cream shops, but they're very different than what we have down here. I don't feel like it's a special treat to go into an ice cream shop down here.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of many shops that's in a plaza.
There's
right?
3 ice cream shops in downtown Fort Myers. It's like you could walk to all of them. It does take away some sort of, it's not special anymore, even though they're all small businesses and they have, if you take them out of the place that they're in and pop them into a small town, it would have that charm because it doesn't feel like a commodity, I guess.
Right. And we talked about this in the first episode about how the small town ice cream shops in our town had loyalties to them. There was the one we went to as kids. We went to Cobb's, and Cobb's is a standalone building. It has kind of that 50s, 60s vibe of the building, the neon. It says Cobb's. You've got the old seats and things around it, and it's right near the park, so you can get your ice cream and drive over to the park and sit in the park. There's memories attached to that. And just the building itself and just the whole ambiance and feel of going to Cobb's and buying something. And it's soft serve ice cream with sprinkles on it. And, it's nothing fancy, but that place will be absolutely packed. And that's something that when you come down here, not only do you lose that connection with the place you went to, it's hard to find another place like that because everything here is new. Everything up there is old. So everything down here to me feels new and shopping plazas and there's no real sense of place for me. And that's where I can see this truck enterprise bringing, if you're setting up in or near one of these small towns, just creating an ice cream parlor that feels like an old town ice cream parlor, maybe even, little hamburger restaurants and things like that, just to, because I think that nostalgia is going to be a big part of it, where again, it feels like we're here and this is how it used to be, buying their big $100,000 really huge trucks and then going and getting a $1.50 ice cream because that's the kind of ice cream they had when they were a kid. I think that's a winner.
Yeah.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Winner. I'm in.
All right, let's do it. You call your investors. Scott will find us the property and just profit. Jenga.
Step 1, truck nuts. Step 2, profit.
Yeah. It's supposed to be 3 steps, but I can never think of all 3 steps. I'm like,
we're so good, we don't need 3 steps.
I know. We can skip over the step because you know what? The marketing was built into the business from the get-go. We can skip full steps.
3 steps are for losers.
Suck at marketing.
Yeah.
If we started out calling it truck nuts and set it up next to a mud pit, we could almost get everything else wrong.
Yeah.
And still do really, really well.
That's what's crazy about it. Like literally, you could have like horrible customer service and you would still get people in the door because they're like, I'm going there to check it out. You might not get people coming back. Or you might not get people actually buying trucks, but people will still come just because of what it is and what the name is and where it is.
And you may get some people where that's part of the charm of it is the staff is grumpy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a restaurant that just makes fun of you as soon as you sit down. And they like, have you seen that? Oh, that's so funny.
I won't go.
Oh, man, I'm in. I'm like, just keep it coming. That's what I'm saying to myself in my head all day. Just like, do it. Do another one. Do another one.
I would go as long as you could have. Yeah, have you ever been to like those Mongolian barbecues?
Yeah.
Where you flip the coaster?
Yeah.
I have a story about that, but where you flip the coaster and you say, yes, I want meat, or no, I don't want meat. Like, as long as I have a coaster that I can flip that says, no, don't make fun of me, but yes, make fun of Duncan.
Yeah.
I am here to listen to Duncan, but I'm like so uncomfortable. It's not even that they're making fun of me. It's just that I'm being like the focus.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
All I need is a safe word. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, stop. Okay. I can.
Don't look at me.
I went to the Christmas party last week and there was a magician there and they're like, he's going to walk around and do table magic. And when he came to our table, I went up and I got more food or something. I can't remember what I did, but I'm like, I'm gone. Like, I don't mind watching him, but I don't know for sure that he's not going to choose me. So I have to get up while he's choosing the person he's going to focus on. And then I'll come back once that person's chosen and I can enjoy his trick.
Got it.
I hate it. I hate it so much. He was funny. He was pretty good. All right. So, all right. That's our next business. That's what we're going to start. We're going to do our next episode. I'm going to bring what I think is a fun business, although obviously this was a very fun business. I'm going to bring what I think is a fun business, but there's going to be a twist in it. I don't know what's going to happen, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's a surprise for both of us. So you're just going to have to watch the next episode to understand what I'm saying. You'll get it when you watch that episode. It's going to be a surprise for both of us.
I don't even get it. You know,
I know.
I'm going to be on the episode. I'm like, 2 surprises.
I haven't told you anything yet. So if you watch if you watch this after the other one, it's not going to be a surprise at all. Anyhow, so we need to make sure we put these up in order too.
Yeah.
So you guys, I want to invite everybody listening to this to our Marketing Ping Pong Facebook group. We can continue the discussion over there. We post clips over there, but more importantly, we post pretty much every day marketing ideas and strategies and ways of thinking about marketing and actual actionable marketing techniques and tactics that you can do. We had one of the members of the group, I talked about the 9-word email. She went out, did the 9-word email, and made $1,700. We've had several people in the group actually take advice from the group and make more money in their business. So if you're not in there yet, I don't know what's wrong with you. Or maybe you just found us and you just didn't know that the group wasn't there. So go check it out. Search on Facebook, Marketing Ping Pong. If you just search that on there, you'll see our page and you'll see our group. Make sure you join the group, follow the page, and you'll be able to talk to Duncan and I, and we go live in that group and we'll have a great time. Any last words, Duncan?
Truck nuts for life.
Truck nuts for life. Truck nuts forever.
Wait. Truck. Wait. I got a catchphrase. Truck. Wait. I had it. It's gone. Wait. Big nuts, bigger trucks. Boom.
I love it. Nailed it.
All right. That's it.
We're just going to end it there.
Perfect.
I think perfection has been reached. Thank you, Duncan. I'll talk to you next time.
Bye.